all of you guys, what can our child expect? Some of the best things we can use for that are things like videos, YouTube videos. Videos keep our kids' attentions, right? Our kids love screens. So let's find a video that's gonna walk through what it's like when we get to the airport. What is it like when we get to a theme park? What's it like when we get to even grandma and grandpa's house that maybe we haven't visited in a long time? So have some videos. I definitely recommend pre-watching those videos because you never know what you're gonna get when you log onto YouTube, whether it's something completely off basis or just not quite what you need for your kid. Books are really great. When I took my little one on a plane ride, I was looking for books. The librarian was really helpful and lovely. Didn't quite hit what I needed though, and I just looked through the catalog and found something that I thought was more fitting for my kiddo. But you have access to both. I mean, those catalogs will give you good information about what the books are. Librarians are great. And then do practice runs, play. So as one of the therapists here, I love the idea of play. We have, again, using your therapist for the idea of going through an airport or a car ride, we have things like this, which has like the conveyor belt, it has the watchtower, it has the luggage piece, it has the security. So you can really just walk through and play through and practice these sorts of things. The same with the videos, again, just having that visual thing. And I think one of the biggest things you can name too for your kid if they're that visual and able to communicate or verbal and can communicate, what are you excited about and what are you worried about? So when I went on my first airplane ride with my little guy, he was nervous. And I was like, what is it that you're feeling nervous about? And he said, what if I fall out of the airplane? And for me, that was just like super helpful because I had no idea that that was what your fear was going to be, nor could I have guessed that he would have said, I'm going to fall out. But he had never been on an airplane before, so it makes sense that that was maybe what his fear was. Let's also talk about what we're excited about. And then as a parent, you can name too what you're excited about and also what you feel worried about when traveling. I don't want to travel on the plane for 5 hours. I don't want to be stuck in the car for 3 hours. Like, you can name that and validate both of those things for both yourself and your child. And then the last thing, before you leave, make sure you fill up their cup, fill up their tank, their emotional tank. They're going to handle stress better when they feel poured into. So love on them, give them downtime, give them a lot of attention, prioritize that one-on-one time so they feel connected to you. Because often during these trips, they might feel, at least during the travel piece, they might feel disconnected, right? Mom and dad are in the front seat, caregivers are in the front seat, and I'm physically disconnected from you. Or we're on an airplane and caregivers are super distracted and busy because we just got to get through security, and so they're not getting that love and attention then, obviously. Let's fill them up a couple days before and leading up to the trip so they feel satisfied and content.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about packing because that is a big piece, is not only thinking through all those things and then how do you put all that together and how do you get yourself prepared. So starting with thinking about regulation first. How does your child best regulate? That kind of pre-homework that Casey was just talking about, that's going to help inform every single thing that you put in that bag for your child. So for my kiddos, these are a must. These just regular noise canceling headphones. Nothing important, or like there's no Bluetooth, there's nothing. These are a lifesaver for us. Both of my boys use them the entire time. And along with that, do you need that support? So these are my loops. I love these because they're super low profile, but they're the same idea, noise canceling earplugs for myself. When lots is going on, I find myself getting overwhelmed, and then it's really hard for me to help my kiddos calm down too. So remembering that you need to take care of yourself and making sure you're staying hydrated and well-regulated, it makes a big difference. They have pressure regulating earplugs. So if you have a kiddo that has a hard time with their ears or has had a lot of ear infections, those might be an option. My boys do not like anything in their ears. So we go through other things. So we have sunglasses, hats for bright environments. Sometimes we'll bring like a weighted lap blanket, especially when it's a car ride, a heavy stuffy, those sorts of things. Fidgets, chewies, whatever it is that you've identified that helps your child be calmer and be able to kind of handle some of that extra input and that extra stress. One thing that's really great also is bringing something that smells familiar. So it's okay to bring one small stuffy from home or a blankie if that's okay. If you have the room for it, sometimes those things can be the biggest help because it smells like home, and that can be really calming. Entertainment. When you're on vacation or when you're traveling, my rules change. We limit screen time a lot at home, but on travel, it's whatever we need to do to get by and get through the travel part. And so we'll load our tablets with apps that we use for travel. I really love Pok Pok. It's very like low sensory stimulating. I brought it with me so you guys could see, but like there's a whole bunch of different activities. It's available offline. All the colors are really chill. There's not a lot of loud movement or anything. So you have a kiddo that's easily worked up by things. Like, love this app. PBS Kids has some great things that you can download offline. Making sure that if you're having your child listen to podcasts or songs or watching TV shows on their iPads or other tablets, that you're making sure that you download those so that when you don't have Wi-Fi, they still work. Nothing's worse than opening that thing and having nothing and being like, oh, darn it.
And I can personally never get the airplane Wi-Fi to, maybe this is just like me, but I can never get the Wi-Fi on the airplane to work. So having it pre-downloaded is key.
Plan 2 days before.
Yes.
I always give that to my husband to do. I'm like, here, do the tech stuff. Yeah, like I said, don't be afraid of screen time during travel. Making sure that you have, oh, now it's going to sing to me over here. Okay, there it goes. Sorry about that. Making sure you have headphones if they're going to be listening to things like podcasts and stuff. Every kid has their own thing. They have the headphones that just kind of sit on their head in front of their ears. They have bone conduction. They have these amazing little things that are super soft. So if you have a kiddo that doesn't like headphones on their head, I love these. They have speakers built into them. I can't hear them when they're listening to them, but they're Bluetooth. Just hook them straight up to whatever you got. They have stuff like this everywhere. I'm constantly looking for more little things for our kiddos. The other thing for me is chargers and cords. The worst thing ever is when the one thing that you finally figured out working dies. So making sure that you're bringing your chargers, bring your portable chargers, anything like that. They do limit some of this stuff on airplanes now, so just being aware of the rules for how many of these you can carry, but they're amazing. Mine will completely recharge an iPad if I need it to. So let's see, where am I? Other things, sticker books, wiki sticks, coloring supplies. My boys love to build, so I found this little Be Creative activity cards, and we have magnetic toys that are really lightweight. Anything that works well for your child, grab those, bring them. If you can find a small version, that's even better. And we talked about audio.
And again, knowing your kid, I just think about like that impact of, we're talking about potentially packing a lot of stuff, right, to keep our kids busy. And we can think, oh my gosh, where am I going to have room for all this? If your kid can tolerate a backpack, that's going to provide that sensory input for them too. That's going to help them stay grounded and just, maybe function better if your kid is able and capable. So I would definitely recommend just them having their own backpack. One less thing for you to worry about.
And kids love having jobs. A lot of our kiddos love having a job. So allowing them to, I told my boys, like, you can put, my one son loves books, so he got 2 books. My other son loves cars. I said, you have 2 little cars. They got to choose those things. Those went into their backpacks, and they were responsible for carrying those, along with a couple other things Mommy put in there. But the backpack thing and giving them that job to do, like, oh, don't forget your backpack, kind of keeps them focused and grounded as well throughout any travel and stuff that you're doing.
Yeah. I was shocked at how well that worked for my little guy. Like, he was just like, where's my backpack? I got it. I'm ready to go, Mom. And I was like, you need a break? He's like, no, I got this. So again, everyone different abilities and varieties, but it can really well work.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing is food and backups. Sometimes you don't get enough food on an airplane, or sometimes where you have to stop in the car is not a preferred item. At this point, it's kind of that same thing we were just saying, we're going to just try to get by. So find the snacks that are really great for them, pack what you can, make it accessible to them, let them carry it themselves. Bring a water bottle. My youngest will not drink regular water, so we have like the water drops, and so we always have to take one of those as well for our youngest. Crunchy snacks, if they'll do gum without swallowing it in 5 seconds, those are great also for ear pressure. Gummy bears, really great. So if during takeoff and landing, sometimes our kiddos have a really hard time with that. So that's another really great. My biggest go-to is wipes. The last trip I went on, I did not bring any because I was like, I don't have diapers anymore. Wished I had them. So now I carry them everywhere, all the time. Doesn't matter the age. This is always a great thing. Sticky fingers, gross places to put their stuff down. I always bring wipes. And then I have a kiddo with a sensitive tummy. And whether that's anxiety or whether that's something he's eaten or overeaten or not eaten, just sensitive. I went online and I bought some of these. They're the kind that you throw up into and then it like turns to a solid so that it doesn't make a huge mess. Having these accessible reduces so much tension for me that I'm not gonna have to like scramble and find the thing to make it and clean it up. These are lifesavers for us at our house. Other things to remember, medications, make sure those, including yours, are in your carry-ons if you're flying. Making sure that you have a doctor's note if you need one, or access to, or just have the labels on the medications if you can. We had no issues getting Noah's seizure medications through. They didn't even take them out of my backpack this time, which is strange. Last thing I have on here is a safety card. So having something with your child's name, your contact info, key communication notes can be really helpful if you have a child that wanders. You can hand those off. You can hide them and put them in their backpack. You can teach them about them and say, hey, if you ever get lost and you find a mommy or a daddy with children or someone that has a name tag that works here, and you teach them what those people look like, you can have them show them those things. The other things that we've done in the past is we bought on Etsy those temporary tattoos that say, if lost, please call, and had daddy's cell phone number stuck to them for the entire trip. That was a really great opportunity. Tracking devices, there's a lot of different things. If that's something that works well for you, we have a tracking device in my son's backpack, and the boys got our old Apple Watches this last trip so that we could keep track of where they went if we lost them. Didn't have a problem, but could have. And so we were glad we had that backup.
And I would even say, just Courtney mentioned, like, if you have a kid that wanders, even if you don't, right? If you go to a busy place that you're, at the food court line and all of a sudden you turn around and your kid just got distracted by something, even if they're typically a kid that stays close, it's better safe than sorry to have something where they can easily get help.
Yep, definitely. I'm one of those people that assume something will go wrong and prepare for it.
All right, road trips. So we are going to plan the road trip in advance with your child in mind. So again, going back, know your kid. What can they tolerate in the car? Can they tolerate 3 hours? Can they tolerate 1 hour? Can they tolerate 30 minutes? We can build our trip around our child, and that's what we should to make an enjoyable trip, not only for our child, but for us as the parents, right? Like, we might be antsy and say, we need to get to our destination. That trip is going to be so much harder with a screaming, kicking, yelling, throwing kid in the back seat. So think about your route. Think about where you're going. Do you need that structure? And does your kid thrive on that structure? And if you go offline, off that structure, are you going to have a different sort of meltdown? Or are they more flexible that they can say, oh, we're just getting in the car, we're going to have, lunch, maybe here, maybe there. Think about your kid and plan your trip so they know what to expect. So yes, how long can they typically tolerate? And then what sorts of stuff can we stop along the way that will be beneficial for our kid? Do they need to have that map where they can track along with us? Do they need to know, it'll be fine, in an hour we're going to stop and get lunch and we're going to play at a playground? What's going to function for them? But definitely have those stops preset so you know what you're doing that can keep your stress level lower because you know that there's a stop. When you get to that stop, whether it's a playground or a rest stop or just a park that they can run around that's like free space, let them have that movement break. Give them 15 minutes to just be wild and crazy and be a little kid, and then give them like 5 or so minutes to kind of decompress and come back in to the car. You're gonna get wiggles, you're gonna get sillies, you're gonna get a little bit of resistance. That's fine. Hopefully you've built some time in to expect that on your trip. While you're at that rest stop or that playground, sometimes we as parents, definitely us as parents, will check out too, right? Like, this is also my break. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna play on my phone. But I would love and encourage you to also continue to fill that emotional tank for your kid and continue to connect. So while they're on the playground, you're on the playground with them. While they're running around, maybe you're not like sprinting up and down with them, but you're engaged, saying, how fast do you think you can run to that tree and back? Let me time you, let me count. Find ways to continue to connect with your child and refill that tank while you're at this rest stop. Our 14-hour drive doesn't have to happen in one push. Break it down, 2 to 3 hour stretches, real breaks. All of these things can prevent a lot of meltdowns from happening. A big tool that I've always used with my boys, well, specifically my oldest, because he's a great napper, he's always been my good sleeper, is can they nap in the car? Can you time your trip to get a solid 2-hour nap so you can just go without having to hand snacks to the back and pull the new book and this song and break up fights? Can you somehow manage your trip around the nap time? This worked super well with my first child, hasn't worked as well with my second kid because he just isn't a great car napper. It just doesn't always work. So again, know your kiddo, know what they need. So yep, the proprioception pattern, so know that higher energy, 15-minute breaks, 5 minutes to come back down. In the car, we're gonna use timers, we're gonna rotate activities, we're gonna play games, we're gonna have flexibility with our screen time, as Courtney said, kind of all our screen time rules maybe go out the window because they can function and do this in the car. Our visual markers, so our GPS can maybe track where our car is. Is that a good visual marker for our kid? Do we have a map out that says this is the red dot, this is where we're going to? What sort of visual markers can help for our kids? Having different activities, something that feels new and novel, or even some of their old toys that they can still play with in the car. Have them at the ready, have them be able to hand back, try to rotate new things, have a novelty item, have a novelty snack every once in a while. Screen time is fine, relax the rules, it's not that time to fight that battle, and be mindful of motion sickness. Be mindful of what your kid is looking at in the back seat with their head down, if that's a book, if that's the screen, if that's eating a snack, if that's, who knows, looking at anything else. Mm-hmm. Just be mindful of how your kid's tummy is, the sensitive tummies, and go with that. Courtney found something that I'm gonna have her talk about because I don't know what that is.
So iPhones for sure have what's called a vehicle motion cue. So it's in accessibility, it's in your settings. It creates little dots on the side of your screen that move with the movement of your car. And personally, they help my motion sickness significantly. So it's definitely worth looking into. I think the iPads now have it too. Steven says yes. The iPads now have it too. So something to definitely look at and try. It might not work for some people, but I do know from experience that they help me significantly. And so it's just a matter of turning it on, and then those little dots move and kind of give your brain the visual cues of the motion that's happening in your car. So
I'm gonna try that. I'm so interested in this. Yep, so keep a small bag of like surprise items, right? Things that the kids don't know about. Courtney mentioned that her little one loves cars. I also have a little one with a car, like that loves cars. So if you know that, maybe you bought a brand new Hot Wheel that they don't know about, and you can pull that out halfway through the ride, or a brand new little dinosaur that you can pull out and have halfway through the ride. So what does your kid like? What's something small that you could pack that would be like a really fun thing for those tough moments? Or what are those like surprise snacks that you know will just make them so happy that, again, we can lighten the rules with, of like maybe it's a little bit more sugary or maybe it's starchy, whatever it might be, that we can give them that will make them happy. I'm a fan of snacks that take a long time to eat. So we have, Costco sells these like peanut butter bites that are filled with jelly. They're like peanut butter and jelly bites. It's peanut butter, so it takes them a long time to chew through these. Just keeps them a little bit busier, makes me happy. And then I'm gonna say this one with a grain of salt. Sitting in the back seat with your kiddo. If you are a two-parent, two caregivers driving, and you are able to sit in the back with the kid, and you are able to get to your destination because I just want to get through this car ride and I just want to get there quick, you could sit in the back seat with your kid. The impacts of this is your kid going to ask that of you every single time you get in the car now. Are they able to tolerate that this is going to be a one-time special treat type of thing? And I guess thinking about what is the purpose of you sitting in the back. If we just need to get to this destination quickly with limited meltdowns, limited transitions and stops, great, sit in the back. Or do you just need to foster in more time to get out of the car, move your bodies so we can avoid that potential meltdown? So just something to think about. It is beneficial. My kids do really well with it, but I definitely have the experience of, mommy, come sit in the back, mommy, come sit in the back, after I've initiated that. So it just then on the back end, we'll take practice of saying, no, I'm in the back, I'm in the front seat this time. That was only a special thing. So something to consider. There's impacts for sure though. And then recreate your routines and try to stay consistent with your routines, right? If your kid naps, try to keep them napping. If your kid goes to bed at 8 p.m., try keeping them going to bed at 8 p.m. Use your stuffies that are familiar. Use your weighted blankets. Use your whatever lovey that you have that is going to keep them calm and regulated and feel as normal as possible. If you're switching time zones, my rule of thumb and what I've tried to do, not that I've done this a lot, so I don't know if you have, but you could speak to this more, is try to keep them on that time zone. So if that means staying up a little bit later, if you're like going to East Coast time, try to just keep them at 8 p.m. That time, whatever you're in, that's still bedtime as best as you can. It might not always work because maybe your kid's not tired or maybe they're way too tired and couldn't make it to that time, but try your best to keep them on that so that can make the jet lag less painful.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I would say the other thing is sometimes that's just like not the way it will work out, and that's okay too. You're going to have kids that are tired. We literally just got back from Disneyland 2 days ago, and we were up early to bed late every single night, but that routine of getting ready to bed, getting myself in bed was the same. And one of the things that we learned on this trip is, doesn't matter, our oldest is 9 and he still used our stroller. He was still tired. And so using a stroller at the location that you have, allowing that to be a safe, quiet place can be really beneficial for a lot of our kiddos. Our youngest fell asleep in the stroller for like 2 hours at one point, which surprised me because he doesn't nap and hasn't ever, really. So, but having a quiet place or a safe place, even if you're somewhere busy, one of the things that I learned from going to Disneyland again this time was they have a lot of different theme parks as well, have a lot of different disability access supports in place. So they have paperwork online that shows you what's fast, what's slow, what's going to have bright, sparkly lights, where are their quiet spaces, where are their companion bathrooms, where are those sorts of things. They also have disability access services at a lot of different theme parks. And basically what that is if your kid has a hard time standing in line, what supports and what services can they provide on that end as well. One of their goals is to make it a little bit easier on the parent too. They don't want you to have to not have fun just because your kid is going to melt down and when you're trying to do some of these things. So also taking some of those things into account. It's nice to be able to have some of those places that will provide those supports. Not every place does, but I think taking advantage of those when you can is really important, and being okay with that. So I'm going to tell a super short story. So we did disability access service for Noah. He's 9 this year. And the first phone call that I had with them, I was telling them about like, okay, this is what we do. Like we bring this stroller and we have noise canceling headphones and we've got blah, blah, blah. And we bring Auntie. So in case he runs away, like we have an extra adult to help. And at the end of it, they were like, oh, well, I don't think he's going to qualify this year. And I was like, what? And I was really upset about it because I was like, what? Like he has all of these needs and like we have to do all these things to even like attempt this. And I got off the phone and my husband was like, I think you talked a lot about what we do to support him and did not talk enough about what the struggles are. And after kind of reflecting on it for a few days, I realized that's exactly what I was doing. I get in this habit of being like, oh, well, we fix it this way. Or, oh, like it's not that hard if we do X, Y, Z, and ABC, like all these giant things that we do to go out of our way as parents normally. And I think it is really hard sometimes to talk about, at least for me, it's really hard sometimes to talk about the struggles that he has despite all of those things. Even if I put all of those things into place, that doesn't mean they're going to work. We did call back and I was able to have them review it and we did get DAS after kind of changing the way I talked about it. And really it's about what is hard for your child and what they don't really care about all the cool stuff you put into place and the planning that you've put ahead of time in order to try to make this successful. They want to know what's hard. And so being really realistic about the struggles that your child has or may have in a certain situation, especially in an interview such as that, is really important. And we definitely saw the difference in the conversations that we had, having those 2 different conversations before this last trip. So it was eye-opening to me. So, all right, moving on. Okay, before the airport, research your airport. Many airports now have sensory rooms or quiet spaces. Find out where those are. They're super helpful to have. Sometimes they have a little bit of outside space or a little play area. Knowing where those are and if you have time and how they relate to where your gate is are all very helpful. You can contact the airline in advance to request accommodations. So if there are specific things that you know that your child needs in order to be successful, notifying the airline is within your right to do. Some airlines are better than others at helping with those accommodations. If you as the adult get TSA pre-check, your kiddos have TSA pre-check along with you. It's a little bit of a work up front to like do the background check and go in and sign all the paperwork. However, then you have it, I think it's like 7 years. And then your kiddos are with you. Your minors are able to get that too. SeaTac has something that I absolutely love before we got TSA pre-check. They have what's called SeaTac Spot Saver. So basically what you do is you go online or on their app and you can schedule a time to go through security. So if you don't have pre-check, that's okay. It was great when we had grandma and grandpa and the kids and Andy and everyone with us, was we all just went through together. So you basically get very one-on-one service from TSA through that program. And so you can sign up for that on their website. I love it. TSA Cares, I didn't know about TSA Cares. You added that one.
So if you can arrange, you can call in advance and just arrange for them to support you through security. So they'll talk to you about what your needs are, kind of just as Courtney's story was. Sometimes we might need to just lay out what it is we really, really need and not be afraid of saying all the other things. And they'll help you get through specifically through security check.
Yep. There's also a program in several airports around the country, the Sunflower Lanyard program. It's a discreet way to signal invisible disabilities to the staff that are trained if that's something that's supported by that airport that you're at. You can search for the Sunflower Lanyard program online and kind of get all that information. Basically, your kiddo just wears a lanyard that has sunflowers on it. And for the airports that are trained, they just have a little extra, they're not really giving you anything, but they have a little extra patience and a little extra understanding. And sometimes that's all our kiddos really need. Okay. At the airport, arrive early, but not too early. try to find the balance between buffer time and waiting fatigue. Sometimes that's really tricky to do, but let your kiddos move, explore the terminal. Like I said, some places have play areas or outside space or things to look at. A little I Spy sometimes is really helpful while you're waiting for your plane. Know your kid. Should you guys take advantage of early boarding, or do you need to be the last one to board? Or if you have more than one caregiver, can one person board, get everything set up, all of our comfort items set up for our kiddo, and the other one wait until the very last second to get on? It just really depends on your kiddo and what works best for them. Using family and companion restrooms when available are really helpful. It gives you a lot more space. I know at Disneyland for sure, they do not have the motion activated flushers in the companion bathrooms because they know that can be a sensory overload for a lot of kiddos. And so no, mine doesn't either. And so, having that more space, but also being able to kind of control the environment a little bit better, it can be really helpful. So looking for those. Let's see. If your kiddo is still in a car seat, sometimes it can be really helpful just to bring a familiar car seat. Hopefully one that's not too heavy so that you don't have to lug it around too much. But having the car seat, having your stroller so that you can gate check it, those sorts of things can be really comforting to kiddos. We brought car seats for our boys to ride in up until they were about 40 pounds. But that was really helpful for them. During the flight, set up the comfy stuff. I don't think I brought it, but I have it's like a footrest thing that goes over top of the tray table that you can adjust the height of. My boys love it. I bought it for myself because I have short legs, but now my boys use it. And it just allows them to have their feet up and touching something so they're not dangling the whole time. I really love it. It's really nice to have. And when they're starting to get really antsy or I definitely will bring that out. So things like that, they have lots of stuff like that. Set up their blankies, get out their stuffies, whatever works best for them. Window or middle seats are often better than aisles because you're not going to get as much bumping from the carts and stuff. That allows you to get up and move around if you need to because obviously we kind of need that extra break as well and that wiggle break as well. We've talked about this before multiple times, but use your headphones and your screens liberally. Find what works for them. If knowing the details of every step of takeoff is helpful for your kiddo, talk them through it. Hey, they're going to tell us the safety features. Oh, this is how we put on our seatbelts. Now they're going to close the door. The airplane has to taxi out to the runway. Then we're going to wait in a line probably until we go really fast and take off. Talking through each of those things that happens. One of my kiddos does great with that. The other one does not want to know. Don't tell me the things. I don't need the details. It just stresses him out. If your child needs to move, it's okay to walk the aisles when the seatbelt sign turns off. Bathrooms in airplanes can be really scary for a lot of kiddos. So those are things that for me, I try to prepare my boys. Like if you need, let's go potty before, let's go. But if that's unavoidable, it might be kind of loud. It is going to be very small. Talking them through some of those things can be really beneficial. And then we also talked about ear pressure already, but having the pressure plugs or gum, chew snacks, sippy cups, there's still bottle feeding that's helpful too. Any of that sucking or chewing motion will help those ears. And delays, they happen, unfortunately. So having a plan. What are we going to do if the flight is delayed? What is, as I'm walking through to get to my gate, what are the food places or the fun places that I saw on the way that we can go back to if we need to? Know what options you have for hotels in that area. There are airlines and there are airports that have a tendency to have more delays. Knowing what those are is helpful. Download your airline's app. It's a fast way to rebook. It's a great way to keep up to date on if your gate's going to change last minute, all of those things. And then keeping your kit, your calm down kit, as accessible as possible. Don't bury it in your checked luggage. Make sure it's in that backpack. Make sure it's in your carry-on. Can they have those things at the ready easily if you need them?
And SeaTac does have a play area for
Yes.
kids. So if you are traveling, that airport definitely has them and is a lifesaver when you have delays.
A lot of them do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, meltdowns versus tantrums. So first, give yourself time for the meltdown. They're going to happen. As a parent that needs to get to from point A to point Z, there's a lot of things that can happen in between, especially when we're at an airport, but also when we're traveling in the car. Give yourself space, give yourself time for that meltdown because it's likely going to happen in some sort of way, or tantrum. So tantrum versus a meltdown. Meltdown, we are overwhelmed in our nervous system and we are offline. A tantrum is more of that, arms crossed, stomping our feet, I don't want to do it. Meltdown is just, I'm gone, right? So let's know the difference. It's these tantrums and these meltdowns in the moment are not behaviors that we want to correct. We want to meet our kid where we're at. We want to give them that grace and that space to say, this is hard. I see you. I'm here with you. I love you. What do you need, right? What is it that your kid needs? Does your kid need a snack? Do they need a hug? Do they need just the headphones that can quiet the sensory things that are going on for them? The difference between our tantrums and our meltdowns. Our tantrums, our kids are still online, so they can still make eye contact with us. They can still respond. They can still negotiate with us. If we are going to say, if you can do this, then you can get this, and their behavior changes, we know that they're still in a tantrum phase. Like the behavior is functional enough to change, and we have awareness of our surroundings. We know what's going on. Our meltdown, our kids are unreachable, right? They are not responding to things. They're not responding to directives. The behavior is continuing no matter what you try to do, and there's no awareness of our surroundings or any sort of consequences that we're trying to implement or changes that we're trying to implement. So when it happens, in the moment, we're going to regulate first. So again, we've built in time, hopefully, ideally, we've built in time for this to happen. So don't try to rush to escape. Don't try to say, I'm gonna just scoop you up and we're gonna get through the gate and we're gonna get there and everything's gonna be better. Lots of times with our kids, when things feel escalated, when we are escalating, whether that's because we're trying to yell at them and correct a behavior, or whether that's because they can feel our anxiety, it's not gonna work. We just need to maintain our calm, and let that storm pass with our kids. What is it that they need? So when I was traveling with my son, I said, we're a team. We've got this, we're doing this together. If you need a break, if you need to slow down, I need you to communicate with me. So we went through, we played, we did all the things, we went through security, and as soon as we got through security, he just put his head down and his big lip came out, but he wasn't saying anything. So I knew we weren't in meltdown mode, we were just in a little bit of a tantrum, sadness mode. So I just said, okay, we've prepared for this, let's step over to the side so we're out of the way. And I said, what's the matter? And literally my husband had walked us up to the gate and we're just 30 yards away from me. He goes, I miss Daddy. So I just said, okay. And I scooped him up and I sat with him and I gave him a hug and he was like, okay, I'm ready. If I would have powered through that, if I would have grabbed him hand, we don't have time for this, let's go. I know that would have turned into much more of a meltdown. So getting low on their level, going slow, speaking softly, being calm, being their anchor in this kind of craziness of what travel can look like is great. Let's acknowledge the feeling. Let's not try to fix the feeling. I know you're sad. We miss Daddy. I miss Daddy too. This is hard. If there's a big crowd, if the kid is overstimulated and maybe there's no escape, let's just use our body as a buffer. Let's have them focus on us. Don't look at anything else. Just kind of tunnel vision them into you so that they're grounded in you. And again, just make a plan with your child beforehand. You're a team. You're getting through this together. This isn't something that we're dragging you through the finish line to. This is an exciting, hopefully fun event that we want to get through and experience together. It's a big deal to get on your airplane for your first timer. It's a big deal to take that huge car trip to California. Whatever it is you're doing, let's find the excitement of it and get through it together as a team.
I just wanted to add one little thing to that. When my kiddo is in meltdown mode, sometimes it really helps for me to be able to kind of ground him somehow. And so things like having a cool towel so that I can kind of like that feeling, that colder feeling on him, or like blowing him in the face with one of these little fans. Sometimes those sorts of things also help kind of pull him out of that meltdown so that we can talk to him.
Yeah. I think as parents, there's always times where we're like, oh God, this is really hard. Please don't judge me. Please don't, like, this sucks. And you feel that judgment. But again, let's go back. We know our kids. We don't owe anyone an explanation for what is going on. And if you need a script to kind of have in your own head for when you feel those moments, when you feel like people are looking at you or even coming up to you and asking you something, you can name it. My child is neurodivergent and needs a moment. Thank you for waiting for us. Or just telling them, I've got this, it's fine. Thank you for understanding. Just having a script in your head can make you feel grounded too, to know how to manage other people that might be trying to be helpful or just not so helpful, right? I think some people can really be genuine, not knowing what the needs of our children are, and this is actually not helpful. So we've got this, thank you. Focus on your kid, not on other people. Their opinions are not your priority. Your child is your priority.
All right, so when you get to your destination, first thing, expect your child to need some movement. Expect them to need some proprioceptive input. As soon as you arrive, let them jump on the bed. Let them swim, take a bath, rough house. This is sensory seeking, not misbehavior. Especially, I have a tendency to, when it goes really well, just be like, yeah, we did this. And then it goes bad when we get there and I'm like, what happened? You did so great this whole time. And then I'm like, oh, wait. They needed that. They needed that outlet in order to re-regulate. They did do really great. We did get through a really hard thing. I need to give them that space in order to re-regulate and to give them space to kind of move. If possible and when possible, limit your activities per day. If you're overscheduling, if you're overstimulated, your kiddos are definitely going to be overstimulated. Remember that they get tired too. The end of the trip might be more trying than the beginning. On the first day of Disneyland, we pushed my son to try a couple rides. On the last day of Disneyland, we did not attempt it all. We said, if you want it, go for it. Otherwise, we're not going to push you. That is okay. Because these are growing opportunities for our kiddos too. Not only is it a growing opportunity for us as parents and finding the best way to make this work for our family, but it's also a growing opportunity for our kiddos. And sometimes we do. Sometimes we do want to kind of push them a little and be like, you can do it. I know you'll enjoy it. Do it. But also giving them the room for being tired too. And then building in downtime and quiet spaces. So keep that sensory bag close to you. We take those headphones everywhere. They're just always with us. Make sure that you have things that are going to help your child calm down. Cool towels on a hot day is always a great opportunity. They love playing with the fans. Great. Whatever works, right? Just kind of helping them have that quiet time. Include your child's interests in the itinerary. Helps keep them engaged. Sometimes that's easier than other times to do. At Disneyland, it's usually easier for us because it's like, well, let's go to Cars Land. You love cars. But when we're at family vacation or family reunion, that's a little trickier. So finding ways to build some of those interests and some of those fun things into what they're doing. Bring a game that they can play with grandma. Bring, something that they really love so that they can share that. Giving them that kind of opportunity also to have something to talk about and to show and tell about at some of those other things. And then looking for accommodations. We've talked about this a little bit with like theme parks, but that also goes for things like hotels. Like some places have mini fridges, they have kitchenettes. You can have those safe foods and have really familiarity for your kiddos in some of those places. Sensory-friendly hours, quiet rooms, special shows that they don't flash the lights as much. The lot of places are becoming more and more aware of the fact that kids are neurodivergent. Well, people are neurodivergent. And so I find a lot of places are doing better and better about putting some more of those supports in place. So know what those are.
And then, just one point to reiterate is what Courtney said about we just had such a great travel. Why is this hard now? So like the same thing you've probably heard from your therapist of like at school, your kids keep it together for 7 hours of the day and then they come home and fall apart because you're their safe place. You are their person that they can fall apart with. That's going to be the same with travel. Oh my gosh, this was so fun. You did so awesome. I'm so proud of you. Now we've fallen apart. Why did you fall apart? We just got through the hard part. Well, it's because they kept it together that whole time and now they have fallen apart. And so that's totally normal. Give them space for that. As much as you can, given where you're going to land for your destination, what is that safe space for them to land into? Is it the bath? Is it just quiet downtime? We're not jumping right into going to the theme park or right into meeting grandma. Maybe we need a minute to just sit and be before we move into the really exciting thing. So just reiterating, expect a meltdown. It will likely happen. Give yourself grace and give your kiddo grace because this is a big thing and a big task that they're doing.
Some of our kiddos thrive on the busyness and some of them thrive on the quiet, and it's about making sure we have both for both types.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Here's our takeaways. So preparation matters. Flexibility matters more. Regulation is more important than schedule. And you're a team with your kiddo. So talking through those things and being prepared together. My boys love watching the ride-throughs of all the rides so they know what's coming and when a light is going to flash. And, so working with them and being like, what could help you? Because as they're getting older and as they're becoming more self-aware, they're able to kind of help you prepare some of those things as well. Anyone have any questions? No? Use your team. You have a great team here at Circle Creek Therapy. Before our very first Disneyland trip, I had an amazing OT that wrote goals that my son would be able to interact with a masked mascot so that he could meet Mickey Mouse because he was excited about it but petrified. And they went through weeks and probably a couple months of preparation. They watched videos and they talked about it and they had someone come in with a mask and there was the whole process. So use your team. That's the other big takeaway I would hope that you would hear from us is that.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you all for coming.
Thanks for coming.